Chama! Chama!
Chama, pô.
Chama, chama!
Chama!
Chama! Chama! Chama!
Chama ou não chama?
Chama?
Chama! 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 Chama!
Every time Alex Pereira speaks, one word cuts through the noise.
Chama!
His opponents, fans, commentators ask, what does it mean? Is it flame? Is it a call? Is it his mindset? In this video, we unpack the roots, the slang, and the deeper symbolism behind Pereira's signature phrase, and why it's now echoing through MMA arenas everywhere. But the actual CHAMA's meaning goes way back to Alex Pereira's roots. Before the knockouts, before the gold belts, before the silent stares that froze entire arenas, there was a word, CHAMA. Simple, one syllable, yet heavy with energy. To most people, it sounds like a chant, a catchphrase, maybe even nonsense. But to Alex Pereira, it's the essence of everything he stands for. To understand it, you have to look past the fighter and into the language, the culture, and the fire that built him. In Portuguese, CHAMA literally means flame, a small, flickering fire that can either warm or destroy, a perfect metaphor for Pereira's fighting style. But in Brazil, words evolve with attitude. On the streets, CHAMA isn't just flame. It's a command, a feeling. Depending on how it's said, it can mean, come on, bring it, let's go, or even call me up. It's an exclamation of confidence, and sometimes defiance. Now picture that word in Pereira's mouth, quiet, calm, cold. When he says CHAMA, he doesn't shout it. He breathes it, like someone summoning something unseen. It's not trash talk, it's a trigger. It's the sound right before the storm. Fans noticed it long before they understood it. Every post-fight speech, every press conference, he'd drop it casually. CHAMA. No explanation, no translation, just that look in his eyes, that tone in his voice, and the word that left audiences puzzled, yet intrigued. It became a mystery. What did CHAMA really mean to him? Why say it so often, with such weight? Was it slang or something spiritual? To find out, you have to return to the place where Alex Pereira's flame was first lit, long before the bright lights of the UFC, in a corner of Brazil where survival burned hotter than ambition. And that's where the story of CHAMA truly begin. Alex Pereira's journey began far from fame, in the rough neighborhoods of São Bernardo do Campo, a working-class city just outside São Paulo. There were no bright arenas there, no sponsorships, no cameras, just factories, sweat, and the daily grind of trying to survive. His childhood was hard. Poverty wasn't an idea, it was a reality. As a teenager, he dropped out of school to work at a tire shop. Surrounded by older men, he picked up habits he didn't understand yet. Drinking became normal. By his late teens, alcohol was running his life. He once admitted, "I didn't care if I lived or died." For most people, that would have been the end of the story. But for Pereira, it was where the fire started. He discovered kickboxing through a friend, an escape that demanded pain, focus, and sacrifice. When he entered the gym for the first time, he didn't just train to fight, he trained to survive. The first time he threw a punch, he found something that replaced the bottle: purpose. Coaches noticed something strange about him. He didn't flinch, he didn't back up. He carried an aura, even back then, like a man who had already faced worse outside the ring. Every hit he took only fueled him. Every loss burned like gasoline. That's when he began to change. The quiet kid from the tire shop started to transform into something else, something primal, focused, and dangerous. Somewhere along that path, a single word began to take shape in his vocabulary: CHAMA. In Brazil's street slang, it meant bring it on, come at me, or let's go. But to Alex, it meant something deeper. It was the flame inside him, the thing that kept him alive when everything else had gone cold. He wasn't just calling opponents anymore, he was calling himself to wake up, to rise, to burn. The first time Alex Pereira said CHAMA in public wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't a catchphrase or a brand move. It happened after a brutal knockout win in Glory Kickboxing. The crowd was roaring, cameras flashing. Pereira stood in the center of the ring, face unreadable, barely breathing heavy. And then he looked straight into the camera and said it. Low, calm, chilling, CHAMA. The arena froze. The commentators paused. Fans who spoke Portuguese knew the word, but not in that way. There was no smile, no shout, just power in silence. That clip went viral across Brazil's fighting circles. A new identity had been born, not just Alex Pereira, the knockout artist, but Alex Pereira, the flame caller. From then on, CHAMA became a part of his identity. Before fights, after wins, during stare-downs, it wasn't loud or performative, it was ritual. Opponents would trash talk him, scream, posture. Pereira would simply stare stare, whisper, "Chama," and walk away. It unnerved people because it wasn't showmanship. It was something deeper, almost spiritual. As his fame grew, fans began repeating it. Crowds started chanting "Chama" after his knockouts. Commentators tried to explain it. It means "bring it" or "come on." But even then, something was missing. It wasn't just slang anymore. It had evolved. To Pereira, Chama had become the line between calm and chaos. The moment where he switched from man to warrior. It was the ignition of focus. The instant he invited the battle to begin. And yet, behind that quiet word lay something even more powerful. A philosophy, a flame, and a personal history that the world hadn't fully understood yet. Because Chama wasn't just a word anymore. It was Alex Pereira's soul, spoken out loud. By the time Alex Pereira joined the UFC, Chama had already become more than a phrase. It was his aura. The calm face paint, the stoic walkout, the silence before destruction. It all built toward that one word. Other fighters had slogans. Pereira had an identity. His entrance into the octagon felt ritualistic. He'd move slow, expressionless, eyes fixed on the cage, and somewhere in the chaos of flashing lights, he'd whisper it. Chama. The crowd didn't always catch it, but those who did repeated it. It spread. Soon, every knockout, every victory post was tagged with the same word. Fans in Brazil chanted it in bars. Fans in America and Europe began adopting it without even knowing what it meant. Then came the merchandise. T-shirts, hats, fight posters, all bearing a single word in bold font, Chama. But here's what made it powerful. It didn't feel like branding. It felt like belonging. For fans, saying Chama became a way of channeling Pereira's energy, a way to tap into that calm before chaos mindset. Pereira didn't need to explain it. He didn't have to shout or sell it. In a sport full of loud personalities, he did something radical. He said less. And somehow, that silence made his word louder. When reporters asked what Chama meant, Pereira smiled, gave a small nod, and said, "You'll understand when you feel it." The mystery only made it grow. But when millions start repeating a word they don't understand, confusion and controversy always follow. By 2023, Chama had escaped its origins. It was everywhere. Screamed in gyms, used in memes, printed on shirts. Fighters said it after sparring sessions. Fans said it online as a battle cry. But with its rise came misunderstanding. To the casual viewer, it was just Portuguese for flame. To others, it meant "come on" or "let's go." Some thought it was arrogance, a way for Pereira to call people out. Others thought it was just his version of "bring it." Everyone had their theory. None had the truth. In reality, Brazilian Portuguese is slippery. Words shift with tone, slang, and emotion. Chama can mean call, ignite, or even summon. It can sound like a challenge or like inspiration. For Brazilians, it carries energy. For outsiders, it's mystery. And yet, the way Pereira said it didn't match any dictionary definition. It wasn't aggressive. It wasn't cocky. It was calm, almost meditative. It was said with the control of a man who'd fought something far worse than an opponent. Fans started debating online. Was Chama spiritual? Did it come from his indigenous root? Was it about summoning power or controlling it? Each theory built on another until Chama became myth. But one thing was clear. When Pereira said it, everything changed. His breathing slowed. His body relaxed. The crowd disappeared. It was as if he'd stepped into another world, the world only true warriors understand. And when he finally decided to explain it himself, the mystery only deepened. In an interview after one of his title fights, Alex Pereira was asked once again, directly this time, what Chama really means. He paused, smiled, and said quietly, "It's energy. When I say Chama, I'm calling the fire." That single line changed everything. It wasn't a taunt. It wasn't a slogan. It was a ritual, a switch in his mind that turns chaos into control. When he says Chama, he isn't calling opponents. He's calling his own energy to rise. It's the moment where all the discipline, rage, and focus merge into one. Think about it. Every time Pereira steps into the cage, he carries the weight of his past, the streets, the addiction, the survival. Chama is his way of commanding that darkness, not suppressing it. It's how he controls the flame without being consumed by it. He once explained, "When I say Chama, it's because I'm ready. My fire is awake." It's his version of meditation. His war cry and prayer rolled into one word. It's what separates Alex Pereira, the man, from Poatan, the myth. But there's another layer, one most fans don't know. Chama didn't just come from language. It came from ancestry. And to understand that, you have to go back to the fire rituals of Brazil's oldest warriors, the people Alex Pereira still carries in his blood. Alex Pereira isn't just another fighter from Brazil. He's a living bridge between the modern cage and an ancient world that still burns in his blood. His ancestry traces back to the Tupi-Guarani people, one of Brazil's most recognized indigenous groups. And for them, fire wasn't just light or warmth, it was life itself. In their culture, fire fire is sacred. It represents transformation, protection, and spiritual awakening. Before battles or ceremonies, warriors would gather around a flame, using it to connect with ancestors and prepare for what was to come. It wasn't superstition, it was respect. To master fire was to master yourself. When Pereira steps into the octagon, you can see echoes of that tradition in everything he does. The face paint, the silence, the patience before violence. It's not performance, it's ritual. While other fighters jump around and scream, Pereira stands still, breathing slow, eyes locked. That calmness isn't emptiness, it's control. When he says CHAMA, he's not asking for luck or adrenaline. He's invoking that ancestral flame. It's his bridge between the chaos of fighting and the stillness of the spirit. It's not about summoning aggression, it's about summoning balance. For years, fans thought Pereira's stoicism was intimidation, but in reality, it's meditation. His quiet is his weapon, his stillness is his storm, and CHAMA, that single word, is how he lights the fire that guides him through it. It's not a word of challenge anymore, it's a word of awakening. By the time Alex Pereira became a two-division UFC champion, CHAMA had grown into something far greater than a phrase. It wasn't just a sound anymore, it was an energy that transcended languages, cultures, and continents. Fans chanted it, fighters mimicked it, even commentators whispered it before his walkouts. And yet, no one could quite capture what it felt like to hear him say it. Because CHAMA isn't just about fire, it's about control. It's the rarest thing in combat sports, a symbol of calm inside chaos. For Pereira, it's a reminder that strength isn't in anger or rage, it's in mastering both. He doesn't say it to intimidate or provoke, he says it to align himself, to center his mind, his body, his purpose. The moment before a fight begins, when the world goes quiet and all that's left is instinct, CHAMA becomes the ignition. But more than that, it's personal. Every time he says it, he's remembering where he came from. The tire shop in São Bernardo, the battle with alcohol, the journey from rock bottom to world champion. CHAMA is a conversation between the man he was and the warrior he became. And that's why it hits so hard. Because CHAMA isn't about fire anymore. It's about transformation. When he says it, it's a reminder to himself, to his fans, to anyone watching, that no matter how dark life gets, the flame inside can always be reignited. You don't have to be Alex Pereira to say it. You just have to be brave enough to call your fire too. Every great fighter leaves something behind. For some, it's a record. For others, it's a style. For Alex Pereira, it's a single word that outlived the fights themselves. CHAMA. Today, it echoes through gyms, stadiums, and social media feeds around the world. People use it as a chant, a mantra, a mindset. But for those who truly understand it, CHAMA is more than hype. It's about will. It's about lighting your own flame and daring to control it. Pereira's story proves that greatness isn't born from comfort. It's forged in heat, in the pain of early mornings, in the silence of discipline, in the hunger that never fades. CHAMA became the sound of that transformation, the voice of a man who learned to turn fire into focus. Years from now, when people replay his knockouts or study his composure, they'll hear that same word whispered before every storm. CHAMA. It's not an order, it's not a threat. It's an invitation to awaken your own power, to summon your own fight, to light what's been dimmed inside you. Alex Pereira may one day hang up his gloves, but his flame won't fade. It will burn in every fighter who whispers CHAMA before a test, in every fan who uses it to push through doubt. Because when he says CHAMA, he isn't speaking to the world, he's reminding it the fire burns in all of us. You just have to call it.